all my songs up to this point have been about like anger with my dad. Like, you left and I didn't see you for all these years and you ain't shit and I don't fuck with you. But as an adult looking back, now I look back on a situation and I have a different perspective of it. Because, the facts, right? I start thinking like, man, my dad married my mother at a time when everybody was leaving. Like, he tried. My mom had 2 kids before him. She had 4 kids by 20. I was the youngest child. They were young, right? So that don't check the box of what I thought. That don't check the box as somebody who wasn't shit. You married this woman, 4 kids, and it was together for 11 years. Oh, wait a minute. Now the story gets different. Like, oh, so you wasn't this scumbag who just broke out. What happened to you? Like, what happened? And then you start thinking about it, and my uncle got killed. It was my dad's younger brother. He got stabbed. And he like put my dad in like this weird place. I mean, obviously he went through like a depression. He started using drugs, and then it became like this slippery slope. And then he couldn't face his children at some point. It wasn't he was leaving. It was like, oh no, I'm embarrassed now. Now I'm not even myself anymore. So now I can't come to you as myself. I'm embarrassed, and that was the separation. And when you look at it through that scope and through that lens, you don't look at it in such a harsh view. You look at it like, man, life fucks you up, man. I'm sorry that happened to you. I wish you would have told me. I wish you could have said something to me. I wish you just told me. Like, I could have helped you.
My parents are the most hardworking, loving, caring people in my world.
My dad's a big mush. He's a softie. He's like the nicest guy in the world. He's, always joking and smiling and laughing.
My dad doesn't take any shit. He doesn't. For better or worse, he does not take any shit. His catchphrase around the house was, "Hey, look, lady."
My relationship with my dad has always been really close. My dad is an incredibly smart, passionate person that just he heaped a lot of cultural obligation on me as a child, being black, being poor, you have to work 3 times as hard, and recreation that's a bonus. You haven't earned that yet. You got to work. You got to outwork everybody else.
Look at my father growing up, strong country man, worked with his hands, the youngest of 16, all from the same mother and father on a farm, emotionless.
I mean, my dad never told me he loved me until I was like in my late 20s. I got one hug from my dad. It was the day I was leaving for college, and I'm headed toward the door of the car. I reach out to touch the handle of the door, and this big, large thing envelops me. And I didn't know how to hug back. I was just like...
He would say stuff like, hey, when I tell you to do something, and I give you that mission, there's only 2 options. You complete the mission or you're dead.
I can't really recall my father telling me he loved me. My father, though, came home every day. He picked me up. He took me to ball games. He took my friends to ball games. Like, he fed me, but, like, actions. Actions are what it's all about.
You're taught that. You're taught that you have to be the person who doesn't feel emotion. But you are feeling it. You just keep going on and going on and going on. And there's a part of me that really admires that about my father. That in the middle of a storm, for all the bad shit that he did, he kept going.
My mom was diagnosed with cancer, right? I took her to the doctor. Both of them were together. She come out, she's crying, right? She's like losing it. She's like, I'm hugging her. My father's like, cut the fucking tears out. I'm like, nigga, what? She just found out she got fucking cancer, man. Like, no, shut that shit up. And look at it. I'm about to dead and fight this motherfucker. Like, she just found out she got. Now I gotta fight my daddy in this hospital because he's fucking crazy. But then I saw my mama stop crying, which is when I understood whatever their dynamic was like he was always the one to push her out that shit. and they started hugging, and she was like, yeah, you got this. He was still talking shit, hugging her, but that made her calmer.
My dad is a very, very, he's very, like, strong-faced. It's weird. Like, anytime he walks in a room, and either, if he's not smiling, he looks like he's the angriest man in the world, but what ebbs off of him is just effortless cool. It's ridiculous.
The one thing that I did pick up from my dad was just understanding that within life you can make mistakes, and some of those mistakes that you make, you learn from. You don't have to dwell in it. Go put your shoes and socks on, dude.
What did I pick up from my father? I picked up hard work, hustling, taking care of the family. You know what I'm saying? Putting food on the table. You know what I'm saying? Make sure we have a roof. You know what I'm saying? And not just that, just outwork everyone.
I think the thing that happens a lot is you try to protect your children from the world, so you don't give them information, and that information is needed for the world. And what tends to happen is you start to not tell your children things, and then you start hiding things from them. And the case in point is what happened with my dad. You know, had I known all these things that happened to him, it would have informed my decision differently.
I remember when my dad left when I was 3 years old. I clearly remember. I remember where my mom was standing. I remember her crying. I remember trying to console her. Then I remember crying. I remember that. Like, that's still something. That's a very real current in my life that I literally have just thought about in the last year, and have said, "Oh, I gotta let that go." Brothers are trying to process this stuff, you know, because we need to be good husbands and fathers and whatnot as well. And we just want to be happy and be at peace. And that thing will keep you from really shining, from really being at peace and really being healthy.
On the Whip My Hair tour, and, you know, she comes off the stage and she's like, you know, had a great show. I think we were like Dublin or something. And she was like, "Oh, Daddy, it was great. I'm finished." I said, "Yeah, baby, finish. You know, you finished for the night." She's like, "No, Daddy, I'm done. I'm ready to go home." And I was like the fifth show. I was like, "Well, babe, you got another 30 days on the tour. You can't be finished now." You know, so she went to sleep and everything. We come down, and she had shaved her head bald. She shaved her head bald in the middle of her Whip My Hair tour, right? And I was like, oh, shit. And I'm looking at that girl, and I'm like, got it. I understand. You will not have this trouble out of me ever again. Let's go, baby. We can go.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it was that soldier that was pushing and wasn't paying any attention whatsoever to what was going on emotionally with this beautiful little creature in front of me. And that was the first part of the collapsing of my father's suit that I was wearing that wasn't mine.
Me and my father got to have a conversation. I was like 36 or something like that. And he apologized. And like, at first he was defensive and like, you could have found me. I'm right there in some of the projects. I'm right at the bottom. Like, I'm a fucking kid. Strangely enough, that one conversation, all I just wanted to hear was some acknowledgement of what happened. You know, that's all really people want, truthfully, in life, is to be heard. You know, I just wanted that acknowledgement. And it just felt like bricks would lift off me. And then it's funny, man, the metaphor. Like, I just start like prepping an apartment for him and like buying living room furniture. My pop got a living disorder and his whole liver's disorder. And I just got his living room ordered. That was on a Black album as well. Like, these ain't just raps. These like my real life placed into song. And, you know, it's like this metaphor of with this preparing this new life we were going to have together. You know, and he had passed the next month. It's a strange thing, man.
Took it to Beverly Hills.
club while we in Calabasas and my head is scratching cause that shit is backwards and that shit ain't right. Lucian is cool, but Lucian don't write it. Doug ain't this tight, so fuck what we selling. Fuck is we making? Cause their grass is greener, cause they always raking and more. Nah, 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 nah.